1998, Nissan set out to create a car that would change the game forever. A machine that would take the world by storm and leave all others in its dust. This was the birth of the Godzilla. Nissan's R34 GTR is probably one of the most iconic Japanese motor cars ever to be built. The basic model of the R34 GTR is simply called the R34 GTR. This was produced from January 1999 to the end of production in 2002. The R34 GTR retained the much-loved RB26 DETT engine from its ancestors, the R32 and the R33. Nissan painted the valve covers a cherry red as opposed to the black color used in the R32 and R33. Kozo Watanabe designed the R34 GTR and it featured a similar layout to previous versions. It was a two-door coupe with a front-mounted engine and a complex all-wheel drive system. The total weight of this car was around 1,500 kilograms. While many cars today feature a display setup, the inclusion of the multi-function display in the R34 GTR was a rarity for cars in 1999. The 5.8-inch display could show information from oil and water temperature to boost pressure and throttle position. Originally, the display could show a total of 7 different live readings. The GTR V-Spec model added 2 extra features to the display: intake and exhaust gas temperatures. Nismo displays were offered for an additional cost and included features like a G-force meter, lap timer, and an increase in the boost pressure measurement to 2 bars. The R34 GTR V-Spec. Nissan had launched the V-Spec alongside the base R34 GTR in 1999. Compared to the standard GTR, the V-Spec had an upgraded Atisa ETS Pro system alongside an active rear LSD. Stiffer suspension was also included, along with a new front splitter, side splitters, and a carbon fiber air diffuser. This model stayed in production until October 2000 when it was replaced by the V-Spec 2, the R34 GTR V-Spec N1. Like the R32 and R33 before it, the R34 GTR was given the N1 treatment. The N1 was a homologation special that was sold without air conditioning, audio equipment, the rear wiper, or the boot lining. However, the ABS system remained. Nissan included a new R34 N1 engine with the car that featured N1 spec turbocharges and an N1 block. Only 38 of these were produced from the factory, with 12 of them going to Nismo for Super Taikyu racing. The rest were purchased by various garages and tuning companies. The R34 GTR V-Spec UK. Similar to the V-Spec, the UK version was imported into the United Kingdom with a number of modifications made by Middlehurst Motorsport. UK edition of the GTR saw the production of 80 units, each with added oil coolers, updated ECU mapping, a full leather interior, underbody diffusers, an active limited slip differential, and a stiffer suspension setup. The multi-function display was also upgraded with additional features. For the Hong Kong and Singapore markets, Nissan produced an extra 10 cars while New Zealand received only 5. The R34 GTR V-Spec 2. In October 2000, the V-Spec was replaced by the V-Spec 2, which featured several minor updates. It had larger rear brake rotors, a more rigid suspension, and a carbon fiber hood with an NACA duct. The interior received an iridium center console and aluminum pedals with black cloth for the upholstery instead of the previous gray. The base GTR received all these updates except for the carbon fiber hood. The R34 GTR V-Spec 2 N1. The same changes made to the V-Spec 2 were also made to the V-Spec 2 N1. Weight saving was a priority for the V-Spec 2 N1. The paint was substantially thinner than the standard car and you could see the woven strands of metal underneath the paintwork. Only 18 of these were produced, and like the earlier N1, most of them went to tuner shops and garages, making it one of the rarest Japanese cars ever produced. The R34 GTR M-Spec. In 2001, we saw the release of the M-Spec, which was essentially the luxury version of the R34 GTR range. It was based on the V-Spec 2 but had a revised suspension setup, ripple control dampers, a leather interior with heated seats, and a stiffer rear sway bar. The M in the name stood for Mizuno, who was the chief engineer in Nissan. The carbon fiber bonnet was also removed and replaced with the standard aluminum one. The R34 GTR V-Spec 2 Nur and R34 GTR M-Spec Nur. These two cars were designed to be the finale to the R34 GTR range. They were released in February 2002 and were named after the famous German Nürburgring racetrack where the Skyline was developed. In total, 1,003 R34 GTR Nurs were produced, 718 being V-Spec 2s and 285 being M-Specs. Both of these cars received the N1 version of the RB26 DETT, which featured larger turbos running increased boost. Despite Nissan stating the power was 276 horsepower, these cars produced around 330 horsepower and tuners managed to squeeze 450 horsepower out of the engine with stock components. Other changes included changing the cam cover from cherry red to millennium jade, the stitching on the interior changed color, and the speedo was changed for a 300 km/h unit. The R34 GTR Z-Tune. Nismo originally designed the concept of the Z-Tune in 2002 when Nissan was putting an end to the R34's production. The first Z-Tune rolled out the factory in 2003 and Nismo was given approval to make another 18. The cars were built with the concept RB26 DETT Z1 engine, which was based on Nissan's Le Mans GT2 and GT500 racing experiences. This came with a strengthened block and stroked crankshaft. Additionally, the engine displacement was increased to 2.8 liters and upgraded turbochargers were fitted, which gave the Z-Tune around 500 horsepower. With all the extra power, the Z-Tune GTR could go from 0 to 100 km/h in 3.8 seconds, and had a top speed of 327 km/h or 203 mph. Nismo stripped and resprayed the used V-Spec GTRs to a Z-Tune Silver, which was a special color that was exclusive to the Z-Tune. The bodywork was based off of Nismo's GT500 racing cars and was designed to be more functional. The changes to the bodywork included the bumpers, bonnet, engine bay vents, wider wheel arcs for increased tire size, and more. Brembo designed a completely new brake system for the Z-Tune, and the suspension system was upgraded for more aggressive driving by Sats. All the Z-Tune GTRs were handmade and were rebuilt from the chassis up. Engineers reinforced and stiffened the chassis seam, welding in key areas such as the door seams and door frames. Carbon fiber was also extensively used in places like the engine bay, strut towers, and transmission tunnel. As many of the components for the Z-Tune were based off of racing gear, Nismo had to redesign many of them to work at maximum efficiency and reliability as is expected of a road-going vehicle.